Hey guys, Jamie Francis here, back for another action-packed vlog. Wanted to talk to you about something that happened to me recently, and this kind of goes back to my free vlog that actually didn't get a lot of views. It was basically me ranting about how doing free work or strategic free work, that's key, can lead to some really cool opportunities. And this is something I did really recently, not quite free work, but something that wasn't really asked of me, and I just did it on a whim. It ended up getting a great reaction, and I'll tell you more about it. I've mentioned this a few times, that I work for a YouTube channel called Daily Driven Exotics, an exotic automobile entertainment brand. Been with them for about 7 years, 7.5 actually, and helped grow from about 200,000 subscribers to now over 4 million. So it's been quite a ride. Obviously with 4 million subscribers and a very, very dedicated fan base, we as a channel or as a brand do get a lot of opportunities to have brand deals. So these brand deals can actually be pretty hefty in its payment, and it's been a very key part of the Daily Driven Exotics brand. But they do take a lot of time, and of course the main guys, hosts, creators, Dave and Damon, don't always have the time to do these brand deals. They are the key part of the DDE brand. But as a fringe character at best, if anything, I'm kind of the behind the scenes, almost like mystery guy. Been in a few episodes of the vlog. They gave me a Porsche once in 2019. I still drive it. Long story short, I'm known on this channel as Jamie, and the audience do have a slight inkling of who I am. So you kind of use that opportunity to think a little bit outside the box. And with these brand deals, because the guys are incredibly busy being a fringe character, I was like, thought about it for a second. I'm like, what if I made one of these brand deals? Because I handle the brand deals, I edit them, I submit to the brands or our middleman to the brands, brand managers. And I was like, hey, I know the scripts, I know what needs to be done. I can edit them, obviously. I wonder what would happen if I actually put myself in one of these brand deals and just shoot it on my own. So I did this completely on my own. I actually got the help of my brother, Dan, and we were gonna shoot it. Originally, he has a Blackmagic camera, which he hasn't really used a lot of, and I haven't used it at all. We did end up shooting with the Blackmagic, actually just a few shots, and it just wasn't working. It was way too shaky. We didn't have a gimbal, and it just wasn't gonna work. Actually, my brother came with a brilliant idea to use a drone. He has a Mavic Air, I believe, I forget what number, 3 or 4 or something. And without flying it, he just used that, and the gimbal worked perfect. And I had a very specific way of making this ad, and a very specific way I wanted to do it, especially with visual effects, big monster in the background. So we ended up shooting it with this gimbal, the entire ad actually. I got a couple slow-mos, had a clear vision of what I wanted, and it was something goofy, obviously. And I think it turned out pretty good. I had a lot of fun with it. Took a little bit of time in post, obviously. I had to create a monster. I actually got the monster from Envato Elements. So if you ever wanted like some stock footage, and it's really handy for stock footage, stock images and stuff like that. And I got a monster from there, but I thought the monster was a little bit garish. It was too scary. I did use ChatGPT to cartoonify the monster's face to make him a little bit cuter. And then used Lockdown. Lockdown is a really cool After Effects plugin that essentially warp stabilizes any mesh, so like a face, and then you can just slap an image right onto it, and it will move to the, once processed, it'll move with the movement of the head or whatever. You can put tattoos on people's faces pretty easily. It's a pretty neat program, actually. The ad was for PDS debt, which is like pretty well-known debt consolidation thing online. I had the concept of a debt monster coming after me, and yeah, the rest is history. And the reaction so far, since it's been published, has been overwhelmingly positive, which is really cool and excited about it, actually. I really enjoy doing that, being kind of like unhinged, kind of an unhinged ad. And I actually did this again. It hasn't been published yet, so I have another ad coming, brand deal, for a mobile game that's just getting finalized now, and should be a fun one too. I pulled out some my bag of tricks. So if you guys want to see that ad or want me to notify you when that ad comes out on the Daily Driven Exotics channel, it'll be out in the next few weeks, at least, at the very most. That was a fun one too. So to kind of bring it back a little bit, I'm a big fan of free strategic work, and this is kind of, I think, a pretty cool opportunity for myself. Is all because I just took that chance. And I feel like a lot of people, especially a lot of creatives, don't want to take that risk that it'll get denied, or just taking the step of like, you know what, screw everything else, screw like getting permission, I'm just going to do it. And I've been really on this this horse of that soapbox. If you just have to take initiative sometimes, and I would say majority of the time it works out. And I don't know if that's just I've lucked out. Maybe it's a little bit of a championship bias where, you know, things kind of worked out in favor. But every person I talk to about this theory agrees with me. And, you know, I'd rather strike out, you know, 99 times taking the initiative and then like hitting that home run on the 100th at bat, instead of going, 0 for 1, doing one try at anything over my lifespan and then just considering myself a failure. Funny enough, I call my channel Failed Filmmaker. Again, that's a total clickbaity name where it's like, oh, why does this guy call himself a failed filmmaker? I don't think I'm a failure. I just think I'm bringing questions that people who think they're failures, trying to make them think in a different way that's more positive. I listened to a podcast recently with Robert Rodriguez, and he was talking about the key to failure is finding the nuggets, or the, you know, kind of like the phoenix, like the things in the rubble. What's the thing in the rubble that actually ends up being not a failure? And he explains to him like a movie he did with Quentin Tarantino where it's like 4 rooms, I believe it was. And there was a bunch of stories, and he was one director of one of them. And I think there was 3 stories altogether. Anyway, I actually haven't even seen 4 rooms. And it was basically a box office failure, but how all this ducks in a row basically kind of stuff happened because of 4 rooms. The Spy Kids movies came out of it with Antonio Banderas. He like finding him in 4 rooms. Like, what if these guys were parents and their kids had to save them or something? My whole point of this video is doing stuff that you're not necessarily asked to do, but kind of like going above and beyond is kind of my motto of the last almost 10 years. And it's really opened up a lot of doors for me, and I just wish I had done them earlier. This double-edged sword. I was talking to my good friend Joe, a great filmmaker, local filmmaker, and I was telling him more about the freedoms of YouTube work over film work, where YouTube's like very immediate. It's kind of like almost like broadcasting, where it's like, you know, you have like hours basically to kind of like pump stuff out and try to do the best stuff you can, where film is a lot more slow, and, you know, the pay is very sporadic. And I'm not saying YouTube, social media work couldn't be sporadic either, but I've kind of found this niche where I don't really have to worry crazy amount. I'm not putting it out there that I'm like anywhere where I really want to be, but I'm at least don't have to worry about where my money's coming from all the time. You know, I'm not saying at all that it's, you know, gravy, but I'm just saying that film work can be like very up and down. You could be working on a movie or being paid to help out on a movie, and it's just, you know, you got 10 days or 20 days even of like, you know, decent pay, and then you're gone for 6 months, and who knows where the future of filmmaking is going to go. Kind of a crazy time right now. Again, I kind of harp on the idea of just don't ask for permission, just go and do it. So what does this all mean for my stupid little short brand deal ad I did that got released this week? What does that even mean? Like, silly little debt monster coming after me and blasting him away with a debt blaster. What I'm kind of getting at is I wanted this video to be kind of about your identity as like a creative. I've always struggled with identity as a filmmaker, a creative. I loved drawing when I was a kid until I discovered that I could shoot movies with a video camera, and then kind of abandoned the comic book dream. But again, it's still storytelling. Like, I always loved stories, building worlds, stuff like that. And I feel like right now I'm kind of really stuck in this. I consider myself a filmmaker. I make movies, not nearly as frequent as I used to. Edited features that have been on TV, and a movie released on Tubi and all this. And not saying having a movie released on Tubi is that impossible, but it's something. I have a feature, no budget feature I made years ago that has over 100,000 views on YouTube, on my channel actually. Go check it out if you haven't. Rough, but it's like a $500 movie. So I'm super proud of that movie, and basically all the movies I've been a part of and done. And then I have this complete other side, which sometimes I think it's really different, but then sometimes I'm like, that's almost exactly the same. This editor for a fairly large brand on YouTube, and work with them hand in hand to create as much good quality content as we can, entertainment. I get to be creative like on the daily, and So I'm kind of in between these two things, and I don't know, sometimes I have like crises of like, what am I? And I just think I'm a creative. I just think I'm not just an editor. I'm not just a VFX guy. I'm like a filmmaker. And I got another comment on one of my videos a while back saying I'm not a filmmaker because I've never used film. And it's like, well, A, how do you even know that? I cut a trailer for a 16mm feature film from the 90s. Does that count? Like, I shot Polaroids and real film camera back when I was a kid. Maybe not moving pictures, but the idea, I actually did start doing this animation with my brother way back in the day, before digital cameras, and it was on film. That was my whole idea. I planned out like how much it would take, how many frames I needed, and it's like, that doesn't make me a filmmaker. I don't get it. Not to go too squirrel episode on this, but the filmmaker and thing and debate, if you're a filmmaker, if you haven't used film before and you just use video, it's all these excuses. I find it just all excuses on, oh, I'm filmmaker because I haven't shot film before. It's like, who gives a It seriously doesn't matter. And it's semantics. And I think a lot of people, especially creatives, filmmaker types, there's this huge barrier of like what you are and what you're perceived to be. And a really good friend of mine was just talking about, I was just kind of messing with her about how she's going to be famous once her album drops. And she actually cut me down a bit, and but she's right, totally right. And she was talking about, I'm gonna butcher this, but she's basically talking about the idea that your art doesn't define you as like your audience, I guess, or people who find your stuff isn't defined in like your lifetime, I guess, and it's just your perception has changed. The perception has changed in your art, and everything else is just not. It's irrelevant. And I was basically joking how it was like, again, kind of like a lowly, no budget filmmaker type, and she's just like, no, like I don't agree with that. Your art is as valuable as anything, and nobody's more or less than others. And she's right, 100% right. This has been a wild squirrel entertainment episode, but yeah, I just kind of want to get this idea. Take bold action sometimes. They say if you want to help people out, is trying to give them nuggets of information that you would have killed for 5 years ago or 10 years ago. And I'm kind of going back now and looking at things that what I would have really done in like 5-10 years ago, and 100% just go for it, like doing the thing, like don't ask for permission, go out and do it. 5-10 years ago, I was miserable, and I was doing a job I hated. I knew I had filmmaking creative energy that was being wasted at a job that I hated, and I was miserable. And 5-10 years ago, I would have killed just to do some of the opportunities I just give up now because I just don't have the time and stuff, and it's just not where I'm at now because I don't necessarily need it. That's basically it. So, here's the Porsche. That's a whole story that I haven't told you guys about, and I'll tell it to you one day.